Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today, I'm going to be focused on the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Phoenix Suns. That series, which is the Western Conference Finals, as it's playing out. Game 3 was last night, a 106-92 victory for the Los Angeles Clippers. Of course, Austin, very excited here on the channel as he's a Clippers fan. For the Clippers to potentially get back in the series, they've got Game 4 at home coming up here just a day away, and there's a lot of things to break down from this Game 3 matchup. So if these matchup breakdowns are something you are interested in seeing in the future, hit that like button so I know that you guys are enjoying the content. Also, subscribe to Utility Sports so you don't miss out on all the breaking news, all the premium content and coverage here that we've been posting about the NBA recently. A lot of stuff to talk about: the NBA draft lottery. We have a lot of different videos. So go check those out on the channel as well. And looking at the Clippers here in this 14-point victory over the Phoenix Suns, there was a lot of things that really impressed me while watching the game. First of all, they weathered a lot of different storms against the Phoenix Suns. There was about 3 different stretches where the Suns had 7-0 runs in the second half of that game, and it looked like, oh, this is the time that the Clippers are going to roll over, they're going to fold over and let Phoenix run them out of the gym and run away with this series to the finals. But the Clippers never did give in. They fought back every single time. Ty Lue managed the game perfectly from a coaching perspective in the use of his timeouts, the way that he managed game pace, the flow of the game, and really enabled some of his players to go make plays. I think that Ty Lue did a very good job adjusting to Game 3. I think there's still a few adjustments he can make moving forward in this series to get a little bit more production. Chris Paul did not look good in that game. That's a big thing that I want to talk about moving forward, and how he can really continue to make Chris Paul and also Devin Booker look a little bit more uncomfortable moving forward in this series. Huge shout out to Paul George as well. Had 27 points last night, 15 rebounds, 8 assists. Played phenomenally. There was a few haters out there again for Paul George. You guys know how I feel about this. I'm a big Paul George advocate. I think he's a very underrated player now around the league. You know, he's had some playoff shortcomings in the past for sure, but he is a very, very, very talented player, one of the top 10 talented players in the world. And at the end of the day, he's going to be the guy that the Clippers rely on, especially when Kawhi Leonard's out. And there's a little bit more free flow offense, and it's really fueling this defense to continue working on that end of the floor. Zubac put up 15.16 rebounds. However, he's the guy I really want to talk about the most from a matchup perspective for the Clippers. I think that they've got to start playing Zubac a little bit less. Now, I know he's valuable in the pick and roll game offensively. He's got phenomenal hands, catches a wide angle of passes, a wide variety of angled passes, and he can do a lot of different things around the rim. He gives them good toughness on the offensive glass. He's always fighting for second chance opportunities. But at the end of the day, he just gives up too many good looks to both Chris Paul and Devin Booker out of the pick and roll game. Chris Paul got every single look he wanted last night for the most part. Obviously, well known for going to his right, pulling up, taking those leaning shots in the mid-range area. And Zubac just kind of rolls over in those areas. He doesn't give you enough there. I think that with how productive DeAndre Ayton's been in this series anyway, last night he had 18 and 9, that you're not even a positive plus with Zubac in the game against Ayton, so you might as well move to a smaller lineup. Let Ayton beat you. He's going to be the guy that has to, but you can't let Chris Paul and Devin Booker get some of the looks that they've been getting. It puts too much pressure on the rest of this team. Paul George did a really good job last night fighting over the top of screens, sticking to the body of Devin Booker very consistently. Of course, a big shout out to Patrick Beverley as well. He was a real pest last night. If you guys watched the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about with his ability to challenge Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Beverley did a really good job putting on pressure right at half court too, making life difficult for Chris Paul and Devin Booker. However, Phoenix is going to keep going back to that pick and roll, and Zubac is going to be the guy they attack. They did it during the entire second quarter when Phoenix went on that big-time run to cut the deficit from the first quarter and actually have a lead going into halftime. Now, the Clippers played extremely well in the second half. I think the key thing for the Clippers here is you're going to have to look at that small ball lineup, and you're going to still need to get that production from Reggie Jackson. Mr. June has been playing lights out. He had 23 points last night, 3 assists, 2 steals. He's a key factor for this team when Kawhi Leonard's out. He's the number 2 scoring option at this point. You also have to look at this team continuing to get production from guys like Luke Kennard, who hit a couple big shots last night off the bench. Also, Marcus Morris played fairly well off the bench as well, of course, on a tough knee at this point. But the Clippers have shooting. They have a true playmaker in Paul George, someone who can get his own shot and the shot for others. I think the Clippers have a very good chance at still taking this series despite going down 2-0 early. Like I said last series against the Jazz when Kawhi went out, don't count them out. Like I said against the Mavericks, don't count the Clippers out. The Clippers are a very good team, and they have all the pieces you need to win an NBA championship, in my opinion, even without a healthy Kawhi Leonard. Of course, healthy Kawhi does put them over the top, and I think would very, very easily guarantee this series. However, even without him, I think that the flow of their offense, the way Ty Lue's been managing the game, there's a lot of things that they can do to still win this series and still make the NBA Finals and potentially win the NBA Finals. We'll see who the matchup is, if it's Milwaukee or Atlanta. Atlanta does have a 1-0 lead in that series at the time I'm recording this. And there's a lot of different things, too, from the Suns' perspective that you have to like about last night's game, even in the loss. Chris Paul got a ton of open looks, missed a couple. Devin Booker missed a few open shots as well. Those are going to drop as the series continues. You know, this game, it was a 14-point deficit, but it could have easily been 4 or 5 point game. Honestly, the Suns missed an opportunity here to go up 3-0 in the series. That would have been huge for them. But they did have a big second quarter, and I think that they're going to look to build off of that and really continue to attack Zubac if Ty Lue continues giving him big minutes. We'll see exactly. And, of course, for the Clippers, it's unfortunate that not only Kawhi Leonard's out, but Serge Ibaka, because he would have been the answer to this. He's a little bit more mobile than Zoo, would be a better option out in space defensively and still gives you some of that offensive element that Zubac has been giving you on the offensive glass and also can step out away from the hoop. Serge Ibaka would be doing such good things for the Clippers this playoffs. It's been unfortunate that they haven't had him. Of course, he came over in their mid-level exception signing this past offseason. But the Clippers still have a ton of weapons. Paul George deserves some respect. You guys better start putting it on his name, the respect he deserves. He's been playing phenomenal basketball all playoffs long. Hasn't scored less than 20 points in a game this postseason yet. He's been lights out. One of the best players in the playoffs still at this point. Him and Giannis, I think, are the two top players in the NBA playoffs at this point. And I think that Paul George is enough to possibly fuel this Clippers comeback. They're playing as a team. They're playing as a unit. The ball is moving. They're finding open shooters. They're hitting down shots, and they're playing good team defense. Everyone's swarming. Zubac, my only question mark for them on the defensive end. How do they go about adjustments for Zubac, and how do the Suns continue to look to attack Ivica Zubac, and how do the Suns also look to get Chris Paul going in this series? Of course, didn't play games 1 and 2. They won without him. It's going to be vital that they get him going in an efficient manner, as well as Devin Booker getting back on track with that broken nose. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. My take for the series is that the Los Angeles Clippers will win this series. I think that. I felt that way about the Mavericks series, and I'm a Mavericks fan, okay? Even when we were up 2-0, I thought the Clippers were going to win that series. I told Austin that. I also thought that the Clippers were going to win the series down 2-0 against the Utah Jazz. I thought they were the better team than the Utah Jazz, and it just kind of showed as the series played out there as they won 4 straight. And I think at the end of the day, the Clippers are a better team than the Phoenix Suns. I think that they've got the top-tier guy that they need to push them to a chance at a championship. That's Paul George right now. He's playing like a top 10 player in the world. I think he is a top 10 player in the world, and I've got the Clippers advancing. Let me know who you have winning this series and in how many games. I've got the Clippers in 7, winning a big-time Game 7 in Phoenix. Let me know what you think, though. Could easily be Suns in 5 still at this point. There's a lot of different things that could happen. It's a very tight series, but I think the Clippers have the edge on them. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the very next video.